Are you mad? No? Good. That means I get to ruin your day for you, and that's just a unique pleasure that I get sometimes. This is one of the simplest, stupidest, most impressive examples of just fucking being cretins, just being an absolute cretin, just being a little, troll under a bridge piece of shit, bag over your head, punch in your face kind of, oh, you fucking idiot thing that I've seen in a long time, right? FIFA obviously is trying to milk absolutely every cent they can get out of this World Cup in the United States. They have realized that the United States has a ton of people, is used to paying higher ticket prices, and that, compared to Qatar or Russia, even though not as much as probably what they would have anticipated a few years ago, there will be a lot of people coming in for the World Cup to not just the US, but Canada and Mexico. And so they have decided to turn up the we suck meter beyond maybe people previously thought possible. The tickets to these games are outrageous. The get-in price for like any World Cup game is, it's kind of hard to find out because there's allegedly some tickets that are under $100. But if you want to watch the US play, well north of $1,000, right? The U.S. opener, if you're going for the lowest category of tickets, like over $1,000, right? I looked at all the tickets in New York, obviously where I live. You're coming in like $2,000. It's just per seat. Like if you want to go to the game, it's unbelievable, right? And I would like to think they're not idiots. Like I would like to think that they just did the math and went, well, everybody's going to hate us, but we're going to make so much fucking money we're not even going to care because we are the stewards of this one thing that people are basically willing to take an unbelievable amount of shit in order to watch. And I am in that camp. I will take all of FIFA's shit as long as they give me the World Cup. I'm not because the only way you fix this is obviously by boycotting the World Cup. And I just don't they haven't crossed the threshold of me being capable of doing that yet. If they haven't crossed it already, they certainly haven't crossed it now by raising ticket prices. But it is not going to stop me from pointing out just how debaucherous and ridiculously, transparently scummy all of this is. And the latest example is this article by Henry Bushnell, which is great. The entire thing will piss you off. Totally worth the read on The Athletic. I'm going to highlight a few quotes out of it, though, that really piss me off. It details how the map, the stadium maps that you would see with the different categories, which, by the way, for the American brain is unusual. Normally in the US, you buy exact seats. Obviously, FIFA and the Olympics and the World Cup, the Olympics and stuff, they sell categories of tickets. And so they're basically doing North American ticket prices while trying to do the category thing as well. That's at least what they've set up. But you would look at these sorts of things. You go, if I want, lower bowl, I got to get category 1. Category 2, I'm at least not on the end. Category 3, I'm going to be on the end. And category 4 are literally the corners of the fucking stadium, right? They're just really there so they can show you a lower price. A lot of those tickets are available, right? You're going to be hanging off a cliff trying to hold on to a flag at the top of a stadium to be able to watch this game. Okay, but you would have been looking at something like this. We all probably saw those images. What has now become apparent is that these images were a lie. And guess what? Fucking nothing you can do about it. They actually have been changing these images all the time. And now that actual seat assignments have started to come out, these images have literally just been changed. And the reason is hospitality tickets. They did not include them in these images. Where, if you are, looking at hospitality tickets, which apparently, I thought hospitality tickets were in a suite. Apparently, FIFA's trying to just turn a quarter of the fucking stadium into hospitality tickets because they're going to hand you a hot dog with some fucking relish on. I don't know. This really pisses me off because it's just so transparent and there's nothing you can do about it. They're just gonna bend you over the barrel and you just have to take it from the bald man that nobody likes and that, he got bullied when he was growing up probably. And you know what? He deserved it because he's approving shit like this. They didn't bully him hard enough. All right. Bullying in 99% of cases, not okay. Bullying Gianni Infantino, great. Do more of it. Deserved. You can earn it. He's earned it with this. Look at this hospitality thing, man. This is the stadium, bro. This is a hospitality section. This is the Champions Club. This is the pitch side lounge. No, it's not. It's just fucking seats in the fucking stadium. It's not like this is VIP, right? These are probably the box seats. That's where it normally is. This whole fucking thing is the trophy lounge. I guess that kind of makes more sense. That's a big area because this is at least where the club seats are normally in like a US stadium. And then you can come over here. You've got more Champions Club on the corners, the FIFA Pavilion. The fuck is the FIFA Pavilion? It's a stadium. There are seats. There are also suites and there are club seats. That makes sense. This doesn't make sense, particularly when this was the map you showed people for when they were spending thousands of dollars to get a Category 1 ticket. If you got a Category 1 ticket to the first US game, it was like $3,000. Not alone in that game either. You try and get in to see Messi for a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're thinking... There's a point in this article where they actually go, a lot of people that got Category 1 tickets have gotten together and discovered that they have found 0 people that got assigned seats in the lower half of the lower bowl. It's entirely, they didn't give away a single ticket into the Category 1 people in that area. But they gave you maps repeatedly, and this is like a well-researched thing. They gave you maps that said you could get that. And you just can't. And I'm going to get to why you can't do anything about it later. Now, in case you'd forgotten about, different sorts of corporate hospitality, you can always check out U.S. analyst Stu Holden, who for some fucking reason, this guy decided to take a sponsorship to tweet out, book an official hospitality package and lock in. He got his ass ratioed, right? In partnership with FIFA Hospitality. I now have 0 respect for Stu Holden. Just thought you shouldn't either. Just wanted to let you know. I always thought he was a pretty nice guy, a pretty likable guy. He's a fucking soccer analyst for Fox Soccer. And he might have been forced at gunpoint because Fox is the one that's broadcasting this. But this is just... Other like analysts and stuff haven't been forced to do this. Like if this was a Fox-wide thing where they all did this, I have not seen the other analysts do this, which means it would suggest that unless he was targeted specifically for some reason, which is not like he's, got this monster following where he would be targeted specifically. This was a sponsorship that he just picked up. Right? This was just an extra sponsorship that he picked up as a former professional player who now works as an analyst. Trust me, the amount of just disgust and I will feel towards you, and a lot of other people will, and I am trying to let everybody know that there's like random, people that don't need this money. That's the reason I point out he was a former professional player who's an analyst on TV around the World Cup. He doesn't fucking need it. He's just sucking up every dime that's not nailed down here. If you need it, that's a different story. If your mom's dying of cancer, you're trying to pay for the treatment, bro, like take the sponsorship. I got to add the clarifiers here because, I'm not trying to hate for the wrong reasons. I'm trying to hate ethically. And I think ethically, this is a pretty easy thing to hate, right? So I've been dunking on Stu Holden since then. Not very hard to do. That was advertising this, which it just so turns out he was advertising the fact that a lot of the Category 1 areas that people bought tickets assuming they would be, have access to, they now don't have access to, right? And a lot of people feel misled, confused, or maybe just generally let down, obviously, right? In an email, FIFA said the indicative category maps were to help fans understand where their seats could be located within a stadium. These maps were designed to provide guidance rather than the exact seat layout. Fuck you. Fuck you. How stupid do you think everybody is? Like, genuinely. I realize we got some stupid people out there, okay? But the dumbest among them, and that's a big statement, I'm American, keep in mind, the dumbest among us can see right through this. Oh, it was more of a guidance, like, give me a break. You expected millions of people to come to this website and you couldn't color in the right seats? I got a fucking 9-year-old cousin that could color in the right seats if I gave him an hour and some markers. You can't color in the right seat? Oh, no. It was more of a guide to reflect the general extent of each ticket category within the stadium. I reiterate, in the strongest, most unequivocal terms, Fuck you for thinking anybody would be stupid enough to believe that. And just because you might legally not be responsible does not absolve you from transparently being a piece of shit. The fact that this does end up being legal for reasons, again, that I will get into later, drives me up a wall, which is the reason I've probably cursed more than I usually do in a video. It's necessary. This is just unbelievable. Like, oh, you know, it was more of a vibes thing. It was a vibes thing. This website is taking in tens of millions of dollars. People are investing, like, I realized to Gianni Infantino, right, who in between, like, doing obscenely rich person things and glad handing with presidents, might not realize that $1,000 is a fuckload of money. But in virtually every country in the world, $1,000 is a ton. It's a ton of money. These people are investing a ton of money in the hope that they get a seat that it turns out they never had a chance to get. Because they, you know, because you were just, it was a vibes thing, man. All you had to do was read the massive terms and conditions, of course. And then it would have been transparently clear that they reserved the right to fuck you in the terms and conditions. That is a right that they reserved for themselves, right? It did not say their statement at any point why those maps did not reflect the hospitality locations. Now, this article does a brilliant job of detailing, like, here are maps, here are how they changed, right? This was here, and then this was there, right? And there was a pre-sale, and then, like, this wasn't even organized. See, that's the most insulting thing, is they couldn't even operate like actually smart people, right? This was all basically, they still had the original maps up when they started giving out actual seats. And they're like, there was like streams were getting crossed. Right, and they were just quietly changing maps all over the place. Like, sections were just changing. Millions of dollars are on the line being transacted over this stuff. Category 1 seats are getting placed in Category 2 areas. People are buying Category 1 seats. They're getting like upper behind the goal. And they paid thinking that was the lower bowl price. It's crazy. When fans logged on to purchase tickets in the last-minute sale phase, they initially saw versions of the December maps, but soon thereafter, as some Category 1 ticket holders began to point out they'd been assigned seats in Category 2 sections or supporter sections, FIFA removed the maps from the stadium information page entirely. Because as they were buying these tickets last minute and getting their seats, they went, wait, I'm looking at the map and this seat is in Category 2. I bought a Category 1 and they just went, it's Category 1 now. Fuck you. This is the part that will push you over the wall, okay? He said he was looking into filing a class action lawsuit. That's one of the guys they interviewed. But acknowledged the legal grounds for one would be thin because FIFA had protected itself in the terms of use. Last updated in October, they wrote, any visual representations of ticket categories in the site, such as stadium maps or illustrations, are for guidance purposes only, and may not reflect the actual layout and boundaries of a particular stadium. 2 paragraphs later, the term added, the ticket holder acknowledges that FIFA ticketing or the relevant stadium authorities may determine the seat location and change the seat location for a given ticket at any time, including after a ticket has been purchased and on the day of the match, provided that the seat location is in an area applicable to the same ticket category or ticket category of tickets with a comparable or better value. Basically, they just reserved the right to go, it was in the terms and conditions. How could you have missed that? I mean, you think, look, FIFA turns down massively easy wins like a job, right? FIFA and the people that make the decisions at FIFA are so disconnected from the reality of like actual real human beings that experience actual humanity in the world right now, that they just blow this off. They just do it and then they roll right into the next thing and they don't even notice it. They can't even process what's happening or why it's wrong. To the point that if they watched this video, they would be experiencing cognitive dissonance about, well, just being in a position of power, you're always gonna have haters. Well, for those people that might be experiencing cognitive dissonance, on the off chance, Gianni Infantino has made it to this point in the video after I told him, you know, scummy for a bunch of different times and said that he deserved to be bullied. Allow me. This was easy. You just had to actually figure out where the categories were before you release the map. Then you're just charging a shitload of money, and maybe you can even start advertising your hospitality packages earlier by highlighting them in the map. But there is a real 1-2 punch if you just hit everybody with a nice roundhouse right to the jaw of these tickets are going to be ridiculously expensive because even though FIFA is technically a nonprofit, daddy needs a yacht. And then a big left hook right after that of, oh, you paid all that money for that seat. Guess what? You never were going to get a lower bowl seat. You can't. That's reserved for Salt Bay and the Paul brothers. Like that's who we're going to hand those to because they're going to spend their ill-gotten crypto gains or their $500,000 golden stake profits on these ridiculous tickets. And you, in your poor, broke ass, don't deserve to be anywhere near this field with your measly $2,000. Right? That's how it comes off. And all you needed to do was at least be upfront about the fact that you were going to be ripping everybody off, about the, where the seats were going to be. And then we could have at least started to process how expensive everything was and it, be in the seat that they actually purchased. People could go through that experience being mad about one thing, but you just can't help yourselves. Right? In the more I live in this world, man, the more I operate in bigger media spaces or something, you assume the people running this stuff are smarter than you. And sometimes they are more qualified. I'm not talking about be a science denier, right? The people that are slingshotting a rocket around the moon probably know more about you, about space. But in terms of like decision makers in an organization like FIFA, well, they might have a more intimate understanding of the procedures of football development than you do. Their capacity for just forgetting about things, ignoring things, not doing things is exactly the same as yours. Their procrastination and stifling bureaucracy is going to be the same as your 9-to-5 job. And so those dudes literally running around with their hair on fire trying to scramble around and recode the ticket purchasing page so that there's a different map on it so that they don't get in trouble. We can all imagine, we've all been in that workplace environment before. We can imagine exactly what they look like. There's some idiots in there because there's idiots everywhere. And the idiots are running the show.